likes of Amazing Rare Evital or Stoutland or anything that comes up in the matchup.
Yeah, the deck has gotten pretty amazing so far, and that's just not in its actual win percentage. It's the Raikou and the Yveltal putting in a ton of work, especially since Connor.
Yeah, I think that Tord really wasn't a fan of the Raikou until he played against Connor, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's really good. They ended up playing when Connor went on his undefeated regionals win, and I think after that, Tord's like, okay, I might include that as well.
Yeah, interestingly enough, too, both of these players are on Manaphy and Dunsparce in the Lugia list. So you will have kind of those mind games of, I need to capitalize my bench as best as possible for these games. Dunsparce when you need it, the Manaphy when you need it. It really comes down to those kind of minute decisions.
Yeah, the opening Pokemon that you have in this matchup can also be pretty important as well. Typically, you don't want to show the Lugia too early, especially if you're going second. That could be a nightmare scenario. So whatever Pokemon you start with, you hope that it's something that would have landed on your bench anyways.
We'll have to see as these players are trying to get finally set up, and there we go.
Looks like we're about to get ready for these prize cards soon enough here. Both players will get underway. Let's go ahead and see what prize cards our players have for us.
Manaphy and the prizes for Tord there. Meanwhile, a couple energy for Michael, and nothing too bad.
Yep, don't see too much there for either player. I think that Dunsparce would have been the big one to look out for. Of course, Manaphy can be relevant there with the Amazing Rare Raikou. You want to make sure that you're avoiding that additional damage, but having your Lugia get knocked out in one hit, that's also pretty bad too.
There is the fist bump. Tord will take the mulligan, and it is looking like Michael Pramawat will start things off. Started off with that Yveltal.
Yep. And that is unfortunate for Tord. Going second and starting the Lugia is going to be looking at some bad news. At least to start off here, it is just Michael with the evolution in sense. But that can lead to some dangerous things. You like to get that Archeops into the discard early.
Yeah, that is the goal for the deck. That Summoning Star V-Star ability brings 2 colorless Pokemon without a rule box from your discard into your bench. And so getting those Archeops, just cheating them into play, using the Primal Turbo and getting things going.
It's the only time that we're going to ask you to cheat here, but it's fine. Looking at the rest of the hand, I'm a little bit worried. I think we saw the Ultra Ball, which will at least help get an additional Pokemon onto the field. Likely that Lugia, but what else is left in the hand? It looks like the Serena would be able to help out after all. So maybe a pretty decent opener here for Michael.
But you're kind of forced to get the Lugia V here with the Ultra Ball. Not really having access to something like a Lumineon to get a supporter for next turn is really just having to focus on that Serena in hand. I guess it's going to be okay if he draws another Archeops.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty nice find. Of course, when you're drawing those cards with the Serena, you're going to get the additional effects of discarding some cards from your hand, which usually feels bad, but it's actually really good in this deck for that exact reason. Get those Archeops in the discard pile. You're going to probably need 2 if you want to play a good game against Lugia.
Double Turbo Energy on the active Yveltal, and Michael passes the turn to Tord. Now let's see what he has access, and Quick Ball off the top, Ultra Ball in hand. You have an Archeops to discard. It's looking pretty good. You got that Professor's Research as well, so
yep.
This hand's actually stacking up pretty nice.
Yeah, that's the magic ticket there. Having access to getting those cards into the discard pile easily should see multiple Archeops there. And a little bit of setup as well. Of course, the Lugia in the active, not exactly where you want to be, so maybe a different Pokemon will end up there, or we'll see Tord go for that second Lugia, which never really feels great, but at least would be consistent.
And the big thing with this deck is the sequencing of your early turns with Ultra Ball and Quick Ball, being able to discard an Archeops, fetch another Archeops with this Ultra Ball, and then discard that Archeops with a Quick Ball, and then you're able to find Lumineon or Lugia or whatever else you need.
Yep, we'll see what Tord favors. I think we saw the Oranguru up at the top there, so that could be a nice find. It's one of his favorites. It's one of those Pokemon that you don't exactly hate to lose early on, but yeah, this makes a lot of sense. Just go for the second Lugia. Guarantee that you'll have that Summoning Star lined up And even though Michael doesn't have too many cards in hand, it's not too unlikely for him to go ahead and just get the Summoning Star rolling.
Looks like Tord is thinking exactly that, especially that Amazing Destruction is able to just take a knockout clean. 5 energies, but you already have that double turbo energy on it. So possibly even if Pramawat doesn't have the second Archeops, could still go for something.
We're going to see Tord go ahead and lose these cards here. Try to add a little bit extra to the hand now. There's not too much else he's going to be able to accomplish this turn. Perhaps you get a Read the Wind off and get some additional cards, but
a ton of energy in the hand, although Tord did find a capture energy, so you can capture, go fetch the Oranguru if you choose, and then you can get a little more options, at least for the next turn, but it's looking like, yeah, attached to the active, you're going to see a Read the Wind most likely.
I think we saw a flash of the Skyla in Tord's hand there as well. That's been a tech that I'm just going to credit to him because I haven't seen anyone else try to do that. And the debate there was, yeah, you could play some other cards perhaps, like the Irida, maybe use all the effects of that card. Instead, has that option to use Skyla and maybe grab a supporter for a following turn. So that was the merit behind that decision.
Yeah, and it's actually the big difference in both of these players' lists, too, is Tord with the Skyla and Michael Pramawat with the Irida being able to kind of do the same thing, but you're able to find just items with it, but it also lets you find something like Manaphy or one of those 2 Luminion.
Yeah, and just thinking ahead, having those options there, I can definitely see merit to both choices, but Tord is definitely set on this Skyla here. I'm going to go with the Raikou off of the capture energy. Just thinking already about that weakness, and also having a Pokemon with under 120 hit points in the active spot.
Yeah, pretty good there. And we did see Michael discard the Dunsparce turn 1. So Tord kind of seeing that will go, all right, well, this Raikou's going to do something.
Yeah.
Unless you want a Summoning Star the Dunsparce back to the bench.
Well, I guess that leaves Michael with that Manaphy in hand, can at least avoid the additional damage that could come from the amazing shots instead. So don't have to worry about well, we'll have to worry about the weakness, but not about the bench barrier there.
Unfortunately, with Serena to draw, you have to discard at least 1 card. So Michael discarding the capture energy and drawing 5 cards here, but is there a way to get an Archeops in the discard? There's the Ultra Ball. Oh, was I mistaken? Is that Dunsparce in hand? So must have been another card discarded.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe the Oranguru.
Could have been, but yeah, we do see the Ultra Ball in the hand there, but not the Archeops. And it's not Summoning Star time because it would be just 1 Archeops, and that's a pretty easy way for Tord to clean the game up. He just removed that Archeops from play, and there's no way to manually attach all of these energies.
And this is where the tide turns in this mirror match. Usually when you go first, you have that advantage to get that Summoning Star first, but with Michael not having anything really, Tord now has the opportunity, has the Lugia V-Star here with the Evolution Incense, and already 2 Archeops in the discard. This is looking pretty sweet.
Yeah, this is dangerous. We are going to see the Summoning Star there. Go ahead and get that down. 2 Archeops onto the bench. Is there a way to promote this Lugia into the active spot? I think we see the Luminion there as well. So this is going to be a huge turn here. Primal Turbo going to pull up likely some powerful energies and be able to take a big knockout here.
Well, it all depends what you actually have available to you. There's the powerful in hand, so maybe just not enough. Taking a look at the prize, there is 1 prized for Tord, so having the 1 in hand and then the 1 in the prizes, you don't have enough to take the knockout with your V-Star.
Yeah, we'll see what the plan is here. Minion going to grab the supporter. Looks like still going to be targeting the bench there. How do you take the knockout? could be focused on maybe getting some damage in with the Raikou, but there are the powerful energies.
no.
So I guess the energy attachment for the turn there will do the trick. You get that third powerful on there, and you're going to have the 280 to take the big knockout, and that is exactly what Tord is looking for in beautiful fashion. That's going to clean things up here in game number 1.
It kind of looked like Tord had a different plan in mind as he started the turn, but then as the turn progressed, he's like, wait, I could just knock this Lugia V-Star out and we'll go to game 2. And that's exactly what happened.
I just win against Michael Pramawat. It's that easy, but sure enough, that's going to do it. And I mean, of course, there's the option there for Michael to go ahead, use that Sony Star, get one Archeops out there and try to do something, but if this Lugia is going to fall, you're going to lose anyways. Either way, you're in a lot of trouble.
Both of these players sitting at 3-0-1, so while technically undefeated, both have taken a tie, so going to need to still continue winning throughout this day 1 Swiss here to make it into day 2. And that's where things get really dicey. We're going to have, what, like 200 people in day 2?
Yes, so that is definitely a big talking point of a tournament this size. Is that, yes, 19 points does get you into day 2. Is that going to be good? No. I think that you could almost win all those games and still be in a little bit of trouble, or 501 at least is like potentially missing at that 35 point spot.
Which is insane to think about.
It's not okay that you could have like one of the best day 2s ever and miss because you only came in at 19 points. So these players definitely going to be looking for a lot of wins at this point. And I'm not worried about this round at all. We haven't even gotten to the 10-minute marker, and we are shuffling up for game 2.
And I think with that game 1, you just saw there where consistency is king, and so far it's been King Reklev.
Yeah, and he's been running the show for a while now. He conquered the world, all of the internationals, looking to continue to beat up on NA as he's joined our regional events many times now.
That does not look like some good prizes for Michael there. Having the V-Star there, looking like only playing 2. So that's going to be pretty big along with those 3 energy. Meanwhile, Dunsparce on Tord's side of things.
Yep. Could be relevant there. We've seen the lightning weakness occasionally play in this matchup.
And here we go. Pramawat starting things off the way you want to see it. Quick ball, discard that Archeops.
Yep, great way to go ahead and look through, see if you can find some additional resources there. Going to get the bad news about the Luminion, but I believe that he does play
2,
the second, so that will be fine. The rest of the hand didn't look too strong. There was some additional energies in the hand, but I don't think the supporter was there, so certainly needs to be thinking about the following turn.
Maybe Oranguru could be the grab here, that Primate Wisdom. One of
Already has
the
fish
most
in hand.
useful abilities in the game. Mostly coming from Tord, you know. If you need one card, it's going to be on top of the deck as long as you get to use it, you know.
Yeah, if it's not found by trade, it's going to be found by Oranguru for sure.
Going through, and this is where Michael sees, yeah, like, oh, I got one Lugia V-Star. And while you were saying before you don't really attack with it more than once, it is still a card that you're going to need to search out and get in play turn 2.
Yeah, I guess there could be some debate of if you want to hold on to a card like Evolution Incense when you know that you only have the one Lugia V-Star to work with, but it is so important to get these Pokemon into the discard pile early on. You don't want to leave an option for your opponent to Marnie you down low when you could have gotten the second one in there, so go ahead, use the Aurora energy, get that discarded Archeops, and now you're looking pretty with that Luminion likely going to be sitting on the top of the deck here.
Luminion on top. Ultra Ball goes to the hand. You're not going to use that card. 2 powerful energies.
And you shuffle Luminion away.
Now it is up to Tord to try to put together a decent turn here. And looking at his hand, there's double Evolution Incense, Archeops, Quick Ball, Lugia, and that double Turbo Energy. This is pretty good. Right now you're going to use a Ringer to shuffle that Manaphy away.
Yeah, just going to put that on the top there, and we'll likely see one of those ways to search through the deck occur. We see the Quick Ball there is going to help out here in getting that Archeops into the discard pile.
Now Tord gets to do his check for his prizes, gets to see what is going on, and we'll notice the Manaphy, but you weren't really too scared, I guess, that much about Raikou. And you still have something like the Manaphy, or yeah, the Manaphy to help if you don't have Dunsparce.
Yeah, this is a pretty scary turn here for Tord. He saw his opponent already throw away multiple Archeops. Lugia is sitting there in the active spot ready to go, so you're likely going to have to see 2 Lugia come down here in order to feel comfortable about getting a Summoning Star of your own on the following turn. And it looks like Luminion might be trying to help out here, just reset completely with the Professor's research. And that means you're going to have to find a lot of basic Pokemon off those 7.
And I guess with the hand the way it is, you kind of have to do that. You can discard all those Archeops that you get from Evolution Incense, and all you really need is just another Capture or a Lugia V. Tord is playing 4 of both of those, so you would have to think you're going to hit it.
Right. Well, we see that the 1 Lugia is going to come down from the hand there with that double turbo energy. And the Evolution Incense with those Archeops likely all going to the discard pile very shortly. And love to see that second Lugia there. And ultimately, I think Michael's going to have a really nice knockout lined up on a Lugia, but he's going to need some help from the prize cards because he's going to basically play his hand out to get there.
Yeah, if he does that, though, that's going to be 2 powerful energies hitting the discard with that Ultra Ball. And Tord attaching the double turbo does get rid of the out of capture energy, but with just the 4 Lugia V and Quick Ball, you should hopefully have enough. And yep, there we see it. Lugia V, first card in the hand, and you have the V-Star for next turn. But other than that, the hand's not good.
Yeah. Pramawat keeps looking over at the other side and trying to find a window. And it's just, come on, I'm going first. I'm doing everything that I can. And it looks like I'm still going to lose a bunch of resources just to try to keep this thing even. Then Tord will just not leave the window open at all.
Now, Oranguru is able to help out a little bit, puts the powerful colorless energy on top of the deck, but Pramawat draws the Speed Lightning, so you're still going to lose an energy no matter what, but at least, thankfully, it's not as important in this match.
Yeah, I guess you only really need the 3 powerful energies. At least that feels like the most relevant amount, as we've seen the Lugia just get those 3 and then take the knockout on another Lugia there. But it's unfortunate when you're going to lose another one of those colored energies there, as it would be beneficial perhaps for a Raikou later on.
Especially with the Aurora on the Lugia V in the active spot, kind of just takes away a lot of your options as the game goes late. But one thing Michael's trying to look for is just having the game go mid-game as of right now.
This is basically the biggest decision here for Michael is, do I get a hand or do I try to do a little disruption or do I just knock out one of these Lugias? Because, yeah, I could. And prize exchange, that looks pretty good, but I need some help off these prizes.
Yeah, Tord just did draw a brand new hand. We know that there is that Lugia V-Star, but other than that, there's not really much retaliation. I guess Tord will be able to take the knockout with powerful colorless energies, but other than that, it's just playing what's on board. But that's the state that Michael's in right now, is if you go for that Serena, you're just playing on board. So we see here, he's opting for that Professor's Research.
Yep, not always about the prize map in all of these matchups. You got to still have cards in order to play the game, and this does have a little bit of merit. Of course, knocking out the Oranguru doesn't feel the best, but maybe this leads to scenarios where a Marnie would be more impactful later on.
Let's just not see 7 energies. All right, that hand's pretty good. 2 capture energy, maybe those are the ones you kind of wanted to find off those Primal Turbos, but
just as the bench is about to fill up here, we see at least get to 4 now, and yeah, you could go ahead and find some more, but the Pokemon that you want are already in hand. You've got the Radiant Charizard there who could help out later on, and of course that Raikou would be fantastic in this matchup.
Well, there you see the capture energy. You get to search your deck for a basic Pokemon and then put it directly onto the bench. Now, Michael can fail this. You often don't need it every time, but it is a free resource for you to have, and depending on what you get, it could change the tide of the game.
Let's see, there's a debate here, considering the Dunsparce or the Manaphy. Both, of course, have merit, but yeah, this could be good. Limiting some of the advantage of perhaps that Raikou knocking out the Oranguru is a little bit awkward there, and could lead to the prize exchange getting even worse for Michael.
Yeah, well, if you think about it too, if the Dunsparce comes down instead of the Manaphy, that really doesn't even stop Raikou in the first place. Like, you're really just giving up 2 prizes eventually throughout the game to it.
Yep, that is definitely a good point there. We're going to see one of the powerful energies come down early as well, too. So
that's all that's left.
Yep, that is unfortunate when you draw into all of the captures.
Yeah, you have the last capture energy in the prize cards, and you don't really want to use your double turbos this early for a knockout on an Oranguru. Oh, pretty good card off the top. Boss's orders. That means Tord has some decisions now. You can maybe go after an Archeops, or you just take the KO on the Lugia, but then you're really having to play this game kind of handicapped.
Yeah, we'll see Tord go ahead and use that summoning, the Archeops to get those energies from the Primal Turbo. And is going to definitely be searching up those powerfuls early this time, not trick us with some capture energies. And this is a strong knockout, as he's going to be able to go ahead and remove the only true threat on board right now. Michael has a lot of support Pokemon lined up, so everything's basically going to be straight from the hand. And that leaves situations where maybe Marnie could be a really strong card, as your opponent has already played a bunch of capture energies, and it might be difficult to find the right attacker at the right time.
Now, the way Tord's hand is set up, he does have that powerful energy in hand, so it's looking like might as well attach it instead of search for the one that's in the deck, but it is an option here.
Yeah, we've seen so often that Tord would just use the Oranguru to help him out in a situation like that, and then maybe have a different energy that he could attach, or not even worry about that situation. Instead, just going to play it down. It's just better to know where the energies are, and if they're in your deck, it's so much easier to find them at the right time.
Second V-Star down. There is that third powerful colorless energy, so with that, Lugia V-Star is doing 60 extra damage, taking the knockout, and now Tord is up in the prize trade, but we're going to have to see how Pramawat can actually navigate this. You have access to basically any attacker you want in the deck.
Yep, the hand was not disrupted at all. Only thing you need to think about right now is who's retreating. And it looks like Lumineon could be the Pokemon of choice. Also, just removing a V Pokemon from play has also been a pretty standard option in situations like this. If you're not able to go search out the Pokemon like Yveltal that could take a big one-hit knockout.
Well, here you see Pramawat is counting the resources. 3 Aurora and a Choice Belt left in the deck. That is the combo to pair with that amazing rare Raikou.
I see the double turbo also looked at too, and you start to wonder, well, oh, does that mean you're going for the amazing rare Yveltal in this spot? You could, but that's literally every energy that you have basically right now at this stage. As I think that is all 4.
Oh, no.
Okay, and the powerful there, and I believe there's 1 energy in hand as well. So really interesting to see which Pokemon can get the job done here. So you start wondering, does Lumineon ever start to make an impact, as you can continue to cycle those energies at least and get a little bit of damage, but it's not very good for the prize race.
Yeah, well, you also have to think about how Pramawat is going to find that Choice Belt if you do go for the Amazing Shot. You're not able to take the knockout without it, and it's just another card you're going to need to find.
Yep, with the addition of some other tech cards, it's only going to be the one of Choice Belt in this list, so even more difficult to find there.
This is where having those 3 energies in the prizes is so detrimental for Pramawat here. Goes ahead and discards the 3rd and 4th Archeops with the Ultra Ball. Again, this is where you have all the Pokemon you need. You really just need everything else.
Just everything. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I think the early Aurora energy onto the Lugia could have been one of the big issues here now, because you can play the 3 Auroras and make use of this Evital, but you're not going to have access to that Radiant Charizard as a later attacker. And that's one of those Pokemon that where you start to get low on energies, you really like to have him in your back pocket.
Until you hit that Heat Fire energy from the prize cards.
We'll see if that is in the cards here. Michael might just be playing to those kind of odds at this spot because this is getting a little awkward now.
Wow. The biggest Primate Wisdom in the world here. Which attacker do you put back in the deck? And it is looking like that Raikou is going to the top. Marnie drawn there. And oh, wow. There's actually the Irida in hand. So Pramawat has the decision. You can search for that choice belt.
Yeah, that'd be pretty solid. I think it would go against the fact that we just shuffled back in the Raikou, but
no, you can find it right now with the capture energy.
Oh, okay, so we've got the capture still too. So yeah, that would work out just fine. But no, it looks like Dunsparce is going to be added to the team here. And I think this all but means Luminion's going to go ahead and shuffle because none of these other Pokemon want to attack.
And I think this is just a concession of I don't have resources left. I need to conserve as much as I can. And you get all those energies on there. The powerful colorless energies not doing any extra damage. Luminion is a water-type Pokemon instead of colorless. And with this, the Aqua Return is going to do 120. And hopefully set up the Lugia for a KO on the following turn. But this is not the point where you want to be in this matchup.
Yeah, the prize race is already being won by Tord. You're only dealing 120 damage onto this Lugia. At least Tord does have plenty of Vs in play right now. So there's going to be some targets later on, but need to make use of every one of those energies perfectly in order to get the job done here.
And the hand's kind of awkward too because Michael has all the cards that you want to see for his deck, and then he has a Marnie.
Yeah. Yep.
If you play that Marnie, all the cards you want go to the bottom of the deck, and you kind of want to disrupt Tord right now, but you just can't.
We'll see if Tord has the answers on his side. Of course, not asking for too much here. Just needs to take a knockout on one of these smaller Pokemon. It's only going to be worth 1 prize. Can't work in any shenanigans with the Raikou because of the Manaphy there. So what option do you go with? Does he still play Stoutland?
Yeah.
Well, there's 3 powerfuls already used as well, so we could see the last powerful energy there in addition with that double dip fangs to take the knockout on the Dunsparce. But
the way his hand is shaped up, I don't think Tord has access to it. You can Boss's Orders and Archeops and just get that off the board. That means the Yveltal is going to be pretty much impossible to charge up in 1 turn.
Yeah,
and
it
even
makes
the Raikou too.
It makes a lot awkward because the retreating as well.
Yeah.
And so I think that definitely has a lot of merit at this stage.
I guess one way you can also do things is maybe attack with the Luminion, get a 2-prizer off the board. But if you're doing that, you're not taking a knockout on the Archeops, so really you're just getting rid of something like Oranguru.
So we are going to place you guys.
We'll see. Looks like we can just go ahead and get some additional energies here. Looking through, I don't think you need
too
much
information.
Else. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at as well.
Like, can I get a couple capture energies to attach? No. Okay. First Primal Turbo is failed for Tord here, but in a pretty good position in this game too. Already up the first game. Enough time left to really finish this game. Maybe not even a game 3.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot of, I guess this hand is definitely awkward. I think that Tord would welcome a Marnie at this stage.
Yeah,
as there's no way to put these special energies back into the deck because the Oranguru was knocked out so early on. Boss's Orders does line up really strong here. Do you think that would be a good choice here?
Honestly, with the disparity of the kind of board states, Boss's Orders has to be the play here. And there you go. Tord brings up the Archeops from Pramawat, has the retreat even. So Maybe getting this Lugia V-Star out of the way of a potential KO. Brings up that fresh one with the quadruple turbo energy on it.
That's what we like to see. It's not going to be dealing too much damage, but it is going to be enough. And,
We're getting to Arceus V-Star numbers, you know.
oh yeah, that's that's a flashback now. I guess we can say it's been a minute.
Now it's up to Pramawat. Try to find something to do here. You see that Cape of Toughness in hand. That's one of the kind of technologies for his deck here. You have that access to Irida, so you can search out those tech items. Tord is playing that canceling cologne that we saw in the previous tournament, and Pramawat opting for that Cape of Toughness. We'll have to see how it's been doing, but it could make some math a little bit awkward, especially in combination with Heat Fire Energy and that Radiant Charizard.
Yep, you could definitely boost the numbers here. There's still plenty of V Pokemon and, of course, the weakness that you need to worry about on the side from Lumineon, so might not be too relevant here, but definitely going to have to continue to find attackers. I think it almost, you have to telegraph at this stage because you need to be promoting your next attacker every turn. We don't have time to retreat. We don't have the resources to retreat. It needs to be a pretty clean game from here on out.
With the way this is kind of lined up too, though, Pramawat has the KO with the Radiant Charizard and that Choice Belt that he just grabbed, but now you're going to be down to just 2 Aurora energy. That means that Raikou cannot attack later on in the game. You have that Heat Fire energy in the prizes, so the Yveltal might be able to later on, but it depends which prize you take here.
Yep. Also, all of these Pokemon that could be attacking later on in the game are going to require multiple energies, and maybe there's a world where Tord just knocks out the Archeops again and says, yeah, go ahead and hit me with Radiant Charizard one more time. Once I knock that out, you're never going to charge anything up again.
And here we see Pramawat really debating and fails the capture energy here. No Yveltal grab. There's the retreat to that Radiant Charizard. As long as the Choice Belt gets attached, we will have a knockout.
Yep, this is going to be a nice knockout here. Of course, Excited Heart going to go ahead and remove some of that energy cost that you need to get the big Combustion Blast for 280 now because of the Choice Belt. And Michael's just thinking about what we were talking about earlier, is I have to play down one of these Pokemon in order to get the attack off? And
Michael did not hit the Heat Fire off the prizes, got the Lugia V-Star instead. And honestly, with that, you might just have run out of attackers now.
Yeah, what are we doing? It's just attack with little Lugia V. It's getting dangerous. But this lines up so clean for Tord. Has that Lumineon V. Gets to take away one of these V Pokemon from play and use that Aqua Return for a big knockout here in this spot. Removing one of those colored energies in that Aurora. It's going to be pretty pivotal, as we know that Michael has really been eyeing up the rest of the special energies to get the job done, and just can't find them.
Meanwhile, Tord, kind of the opposite, has only had special energies in his hand, but with the way the game has progressed, just really has been able to take advantage of those just manual energy attachments.
Yep, just looking at the rest of the way to close this out, the Stoutland is there. Is the powerful energy there? Because maybe that would line up the boss knockout on the Dunsparce to close the game out.
Honestly, yeah. I think Tord has that line of play locked in, and it's really just a matter of time before you can get to it. You already know Michael has no secondary attacker as of right now on the bench. I guess maybe with a powerful Archeops might be able to get in there, but I think we've seen most of them, especially with the one on the Radiant Charizard in the active.
Absolutely love the flex here. Just going to go ahead and throw on the additional powerful energy as Michael did earlier on in this match. And It is funny. I don't think it's ever correct because you're just showing off that you had this resource in your deck, but it is cool.
Energy for the turn is that capture energy on the Stoutland. Can find maybe the Charizard, maybe the Manaphy, maybe nothing, you know. We'll have to see.
Find himself.
Yeah.
You know, take a moment.
Who knew capture energy was so zen?
Well, without Oranguru, somebody had to lead the charge. Is even thinking about another Lugia.
Why not?
Hey,
No.
you know, I don't think you have the resources to take knockouts at this stage anymore. I was going to go ahead and put down big Pokemon.
This has been a picture-perfect turn for Tord so far, and he hasn't even played anything from hand.
Yeah.
You played the Stoutland V and the capture energy, but that's basically it. No supporter. You just have everything you need, and that's what this Lugia deck does so well, is that it really just plays with the board. As long as your hand isn't, like, atrocious, you'll be seeing most of the games pretty consistently.
Yep, I do love the fact that Tord just put down a Pokemon, even if it isn't very relevant, gives him opportunities to maybe find a card like Quick Ball or that Boss's Orders and just hold on to that resource. We do see that he did find that Boss's Orders, which is absolutely huge here. Going to have that resource now, not even worried about the Lumineon Shuffle and finding it later on. Just has the way to close the game out here next turn.
Yeah, and then probably just bringing up that damaged Lugia. It already has 2 energy on it.
Yep, just depends on the resource count here. Maybe if there's another few energies, you can just promote big hit point guy and move on. And I think that is going to be the play here for Tord. Beat this.
Now it is back to Michael to just trying to figure out something to do, but with no attacker down on the bench, you're going to have to find a way to retreat first, then get your energy in play. And that's not even including the attacker. I guess Stoutland right now, but
This feels dangerous. I don't know what Michael's supposed to finish the game with at this spot. What we have 2 special energies, the Auroras, right, to
Yeah.
get the job done here.
with 1 being drawn. I guess there's the double turbo that Pramawat got from the prizes that got shuffled away.
Okay. Don't know if the resources are there for. I don't think the powerful energies are there for an Archeops to take a knockout here on
Oh, no,
the
not at
damaged
all.
Lugia or anything like that. So you start to wonder, how do you work your way out of this one?
Do you whap down?
We could see the wild tackle, or you could just pick up your cards and move on. And that looks like that's going to be the play there toward Reklev with the clean 2-0 victory against the King of Regionals. And that is what a way to close things out here in round number 5.
Listen, when you have 2 members of a royal family going against each other, there's going to be sparks flying, but it was all toward Reklev in this match.
Yeah, you start to look at the intricacies. Of course, it isn't fireworks left and right and big knockouts here and all that. It's really about those micro decisions that we saw time and time again, and Tord just played them beautifully. Of course, he had the resources to do that too. I think we would have seen a little more out of Michael if he wasn't so unfortunate.
Yeah, well, it's just missing that summoning star on turn 2 in that first game really just led to the downfall of the match. You give your opponent so much more advantage over you. And with the way game 2 went as well, just being deprived of your resources and those energies, it really just was hard